Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honors, and glories unto YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, HaShem HaKadosh. Double honors to my elders and my apostles of Great Milestone. They're doing the well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect, the off-elected, the one-third. Shalom. This is Brother Dawadah. Come back at you with another video through the spirit and power of YAHAWAH, HaShem HaKadosh. And today the title of this video will be The Judgment of the Great Whore. We're going to get into this topic, and now on RAWCHAA, which means Lord's will. This video be edifying to the Lord's elect, alright? Which the Lord's elect consists of the men, women, and children that have been predestinated to receive salvation when YAHAWASHI comes back. And they've also been predestinated to receive this understanding of this word. You see? Chosen vessels, as it were. Okay? And it's those same chosen vessels that YAHAWASHI is coming back to gather. Matthew, the 24th chapter, starting at verse, I believe it's verse 27 on down. All right, key points is in verse 30. Okay, so the title is The Judgment of the Great Whore. And I'm going to primarily focus on Jeremiah, the 50th chapter. You know, we'll hop around here to a few points. All right, and out on RAWCHAA, which means Lord's will. This video will be edifying to the Lord's elect. So let's start off in the book of Revelation 17 and 1. And it reads, Revelation 17 and 1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me. Who was the me? This was the Apostle John, also known as John the Revelator, which is YAHAWASHI's favorite disciple, which later became an apostle. This is him speaking, because here, all right, we read about the book of Revelation concerning John, all right. This was the Apostle John, all right, receiving visions on the Isle of Patmos as he was banished to the salt mines for teaching this word, all right. And the word revelation literally means, all right, meaning back, and velation, that's where you get the word veil. So it literally means to peel back the veil, all right. And John, he was a prisoner, all right. He was a Roman prisoner for teaching this word, teaching this gospel, all right. And there on that island, right, where he was banished to work in the salt mines, he received these great visions, right, inclusive of visions of what were to come. Case in point, the mark of the beast, which is the chip, all right, the MOB, as it were, as brothers call it, because if you say, you know, as I first said it, you know, if you say it out explicitly, they've been flagging videos down for that, so Lord's will, they don't flag this one down. But he received key visions. Another great vision is the destruction of this place. All right. So he received these visions, and that's, you know, one of the reasons why he was left alive, so that he could receive these revelations and deliver up these letters to, you know, the Israelites that were dwelling within those seven churches. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Revelation 17 and 1. And there came one of the seven angels, which, by the way, John the Revelator was separate from John the Baptist. Those are not the same individual. John the Baptist was related to YAHAWASHI. I believe they were even first cousins. All right. Speaking of John the Baptist, John the Revelator, also known as Apostle John, YAHAWASHI's favorite disciple, which later became an apostle. All right. He is not the same as John the Baptist. You know, you got new brothers and sisters coming in, so that way you don't get confused. Okay, John was a common name back then, same as now. John is a common name now. Yes, you can have two people that have the same name. Okay, it's happening now, isn't it? And of course, it happened back then. Revelation 17 and 1. There came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me. The me is John the Revelator, saying unto me, Come hither, meaning come here. I will show you the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Now, the first major question is, well, who are these, who is this great whore? Question number 2, what does it mean by sitteth upon many waters? Well, let's hop down. Okay. Revelation chapter 17, which if you want to get the understand on the verses in between, all you got to do is just type in Revelation 17 breakdown, and you'll see the Elder Apostle Ariam will go into it. Elder Apostle Tahar is going into it, along with many other brothers also. Okay, I'm just gonna hit the point for the sake of time. So, and if you have any further questions, you can just drop them down in the comment board. So, question number 1: who is the great whore? Revelation 17 and verse 18. And the woman which thou sawest, that is that great whore, is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So this woman, this whore, represents a place, which that place is America. Okay? That's that place, America, Babylon the Great, as it is called in the scriptures. That is that great city, America, that sitteth upon many waters. The many waters represent what? Revelation 17 and 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore, that's the woman, America, sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Because why? America at one point was known as the Great Melting Pot. Because you can literally find all these nations found here in America. That's why you got Chinatown, you got Greektown, you got different sections where Jake is in, which is called what? The hoods, the reservations. All right, you got the place where the Latin tribes are in. They're all here. Then, of course, you got the East Indians here. You have the so-called Arabs here. You see? You have, like, case in point, in Michigan, primarily in Detroit, you had a place called Dearborn, Detroit. That's where all the Ishmaelites are at. All right, but then you go to the hoods of Detroit. Then you got Jake there. Then you go to West Bloomfield. You got Esau there. And that's just in this small little area. That small little section, of Michigan. How much more for the rest of the United States? You have all these nations here. Case in point, just go to a college campus. You'll find every nation there. You see? America at one point was known as the Great Melting Pot. That's what those waters represent. Peoples, all right? Multitudes and nations and tongues. Because America is known as the Great Melting Pot. All these nations are here. Every nation can be found here on the soils of America. Okay? Now this whore, she has a judgment written for her. Okay? Now what is that judgment? Well, let's go over to the book of Jeremiah 50. So now we understand who this woman is, and we know that place, all right, that great city is America. All right? It definitely ain't no damn Vatican City for you scoffers out there. Shoot, you could take a light jog and you can go all around Vatican City. In a light jog. That place ain't even that big. America is that great city. When you go into the description of this great city, okay, when you go into the rest of Revelation 17 and you go into Revelation 18, you go into the rest of the book of Revelations, there's no other place that it could be than America, Babylon the Great. Real quick, let's go to Revelation 18, and then we'll hop to Jeremiah 50 to get the main point. Which, I didn't have anything prepared except, go into Jeremiah 50 a little bit. So I'm just going with the Spirit. Revelation 18, for you scoffers, But what about Vatican? What about it? Revelation 18 and verse, let's hit the point, 3. Well, let's start at the top. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. This was an angel that was within a chariot, a ship, a so-called UFO. That's what John the Revelator is seeing and describing. Okay? And this is after America's destruction. Because when you read Revelation 17, it tells you that America will be destroyed. Now Revelation 18 is telling you what happened after the fact. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen. This is after the destruction of this place. Is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils. That's these desert creatures that's going to be dwelling here after America is destroyed. These scavenger birds, like you read Isaiah 34, speaks about the bittern and the cormorant, and the screech owl, I believe it's called. Those are the different desert creatures that's going to be dwelling in America. Because this place is going to get reduced to powder. Okay? Reduced to dust. And the hold of every foul spirit and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Yeah, like the screech owl, the bittern. Okay? These scavenger birds are going to be dwelling here. Alright? For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. All nations have not drunken of the wine of the wrath, or of the wine of some Vatican city. You know, all nations haven't drunken of that. What are these nations trying to be like? They want to be just like America. That's why you see, you have a thing called the Americanization of China. Because why? They want to be just like Americans. When you go overseas and you go to the western coast of Africa, you know what they're talking about? They ain't talking about no damn Vatican City. Excuse my Swedish. They're not talking about any other place but coming to America. Okay? Now, when my mother's Nigerian, when she, she and my dad linked up, because my father was Nigerian also. She would tell me like, hey, before I came over here, I was hearing great things about this place. She said that she heard that the streets over here were paved in gold, that this place is just, it's like heaven. You see? That this place was so marvelous, it was beautiful, so on and so forth. Now let's jump over to Revelation 17. Revelation 17, because that's found in the scriptures. How alluring this place is. Revelation 17. Now I know before I said that, hey, you can hop and type in Revelation 17 breakdown, but we're going to go into a few of these verses. So Revelation 17 and 1 again. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And you know what's spiritual? What's the judgment for a whore, for the daughter of a priest, if she profane herself by playing the harlot, according to the law? The judgment is that whore be burnt with fire. Now what's going to happen to this place, America, Babylon the Great, which is the great whore that sitteth upon many waters? Its judgment is to be burned by fire. See? And you have the elder YAHAWAH bring that out. Okay? Revelation 17 and 15. And there came, 17 and 1. There came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore, that's America, which sitteth upon many waters, that represents the people. Revelation 17 and 15 proves that. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, meaning, which is what? Her democracy, their Christianity, their different philosophies, their ways of life, the alphabet community. That's why over there in India, I believe it was a year or two ago, they got heavy into the alphabet community. And they were saying, oh, India, they had a long stance of not supporting that, but now they're broken their long stance. They, so on and so forth, because they want to be just like the people over here in America. You see women's liberation, that was heavily pushed in America. And now what do you see? People overseas want that same kind of power and authority. Okay? That's why over there in the Middle East, which are much more conservative, if you bring that whole westernized mindset over there, they'll shun that. They hate the westernized mindset of the woman, being in the car driving and the woman working and the woman being outside the house. They hate that mindset. They shun it. You see? But you have other places that want to pattern themselves after America. That's why you see the same way the women are scantily clad over here in America as the same way they're scantily clad in themselves overseas. Okay? Because they want to be just like this place. Check out China. China, when you check out how Tokyo looks, it looks just like New York City. Okay? Over there in China, they have a Mickey D's, which is McDonald's. I believe they even have a KFC, just like over here in America. You look at the cities, they have the roads just like America. They have the tall skyscrapers just like America. The first skyscrapers that were built over here in America. Now tell me why you see skyscrapers throughout the whole earth now. Why is that? Because they want to be just like this place. Not no Vatican City. You see? With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. Meaning they want to pattern themselves after America. That fornication is what? Case in point. Her democracy, her Christianity, pushing the alphabet community. That's their fornication. That's also that wine. And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Same thing. Case in point, her democracy. Okay? That's why if a nation doesn't want to receive that wine of their fornication. They don't want to drink of the wine of her fornication. If they don't want to take on their democracy, Esau threatens them with war, threatens them with sanctions. Look what he's done to Venezuela. All right? Okay? It says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I, that's Apostle John, saw a woman, that's that whore, sit upon a scarlet. Scarlet is a derivative of red. Colored beast. The beast represents what? NATO and the EU. And it's no coincidence that this beast was red. Because guess what? Genesis chapter 27, or rather 25, and verse 25. And the first came out red all over, like in a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau, which in the Hebrew is Ishashwa, meaning wasted away is he. Because what was wasted away on Esau when it came out? His pigmentation. You see? So the reason why that beast was colored red is because why? Is because that is the power structure, all right, of these devils, of them coming into power. All right? This represents Esau's power structure. NATO with the EU. Okay? Full of names of blasphemy. Yeah, he blasphemes against the Most High. Okay? And you also have him pushing the alphabet community, contrary to the ways of the Most High. That's another part of this devil's blasphemy. Okay? It says, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads. The 7 heads represent 7 governments or kingdoms ruled by evil Esau. You have Germania Major, Germania Minor. Let me say that again. You have Germania Major, Germania Minor. Okay? You had the Romans, you had the Greeks, you had the French, the Spanish, the British. Okay? Those are those 7 heads. And 10 horns. The 10 horns represents the EU. All right? Which at one point was known as the European European Economic Committee, I believe it is. All right? The EEC. Okay? You know what? Let me pull that up just so I can fact check it, because I always get it mixed up. Either EEC or ECC, I believe it. Let me see. I believe it's EEC. Yeah, EEC, the European Economic Community. That's what they were originally known as. Now they're known as the EU. Which a lot of the member nations of the EU, all right, are part of NATO. Okay? Having 7 heads and 10 horns. So we already explained that. And the woman, that's America, was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. That represents royalty. The being arrayed in purple and scarlet. That's why I believe it was Jonathan Maccabee. We read about that in the book of First Maccabees. He was arrayed in purple. Okay, after he helped out a king, a heathen king, defeat. I believe his name was Demetrius. So Jonathan helped out Alexander to defeat Demetrius. Okay, and once they won that battle, Alexander had Jonathan arrayed in scarlet, either in scarlet or in purple. See? So he got decked out. Also Daniel, after Daniel helped out the king, all right, I believe it's in Daniel the 5th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, they arrayed Daniel in scarlet. Okay, and precious stones and pearls. So what is it symbolic of, this woman being decked out with all this? America gets its different riches and such through rape, robbery, and murder. John 10 and 10. Okay? That's how America got all this. By stealing and plundering the resources of these other nations. Okay? Taking their oil, taking their mineral resources and such. Having a golden cup in their hand. It is the same cup that they push throughout the whole earth. Full of what? Abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. That's that fornication. That's the wine of her fornication. Case in point, her democracy, her homosexuality, lesbianism. Okay? That's why the majority of these countries accept being a Mo. Why? Because that's something that's accepted over here in America. And they tried to pattern themselves after it was done in America. See? That's why you see the same style of dress that's pushed in America. That's the same style of dress that's pushed overseas. The same way that people dress in America, that's the same way they dress overseas. The same things they do in America, like having the clubs, having the, um, not only the clubs, but the skyscrapers, and having these fast food restaurants littered throughout the place. Same thing done overseas because they want to be just like America. In these nations, they've casted off the style of dress that they once had. Okay, like the different, I believe in China, it's either China or Japan, they would wear the haikus, I believe they're called, or haifus. Let me fact check that. Let me see exactly what it's called, because they have their own different style of dress. Okay, let's see. Hanfu, Salaki. It's called a hanfu. Okay. Which is, it says hanfu is a term used for the historical styles of clothing worn by the Han people in China. But they ain't wearing that as much as they wore, let me put it this way. That hanfu, the average Moabite that you see with your so-called Chinese, when you see them walk by, they ain't wearing no hanfu. They're wearing what? Booty shorts and tank tops. The men are wearing what? Shorts and joggers, because they're trying to pattern themselves after the same style of dress that's pushed in America. Because why? They want to be just like the people of America. You see? Back then they wore the, it's either Moab or Ammon, which is Chinese or Japanese. They wore the kimonos. They had the hanfus. They had, different things that they would wear. The beautiful long dresses that the women used to wear. The men will have their beautiful long robes that they used to wear. Not anymore. Now they're wearing three-piece suits. Because why? They're trying to pattern themselves after America. Not no Vatican City. Having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great. Babylon goes back to the Hebrew word babal, meaning confusion. America is the place of great confusion. You'll be in a store walking, you see what appears to be a shapely woman walk past you, and you try to get her number. Excuse me, miss. It turns around, huh? What you say? This is the place of great confusion. You'll see these different models that they use when you go out to your supermarkets or your stores in the clothing section, and you think like, hey, wow, that's an attractive model right there. But then if you look closely, you'll notice that certain of those models are really men, if you look close enough. Because why? America is the place of great confusion. You see? The mother of harlots. Because why? You can worship anything you want in America. Hey, you can worship yourself in America. People worship Satan in America. Literally, they have Satan churches in America. And there's no judgment. There's no punishment pushed. That's one reason this place has to go. That's why it's known as the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Which in the Hebrew language, the Paleo-Hebrew, each character has a numeric value. Right? And the Elder Apostle Ariam Lab always brings this out. When you calculate the numeric value of this verse, it adds up to 666, which is what? The number of the beast. And here's the point, and I saw the woman, so from verse 1 all the way down to verse 5, that has to be America. There's nothing else that you can add on to it. Well, right here, nope, you can't. It's plain. It's like, I know I said I was going to go into Jeremiah 50, but hey, I'm just going with the Spirit. And I pray and hope that this is edifying to the men, women, and children that listen. And I saw the woman, that's America, drunken with the blood of the saints. When was Vatican drunken with the blood of the saints? And who are the saints? The Israelites. Psalm 148 in the last two verses, I believe it is. Okay? And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of YAHAWASHI. When it says the woman, which is America, drunken with the blood of the saints, what's an example of that? Check out what he did when the so-called white man stepped foot on America. He slaughtered Gad, even on to nigh extinction. Okay? Look at what he did. Then he got the nerve to bring the which was biblical prophecy. He brought the southern kingdom over here. And what did he do to the southern kingdom? Slaughtered them. Okay? You know how many of them died on those slave boats before and never even made touched foot in America in that lifetime? Because there is a such thing called reincarnation. You see? You know how many of them died on the way there of disease? Okay? How many of them they threw overboard for the sharks to feed on? They have to pay for those different things. They're not going to go unpunished. See? Let alone what they got over here. You know how many of them they've killed, they've tortured, they've beaten, they worked to death. There's a clip from 12 Years a Slave. Lord willing, if I remember, I'll throw it in here. If Lord's will, if I don't get a strike. There was a slave working. He's working, and he just drops dead. And then Evil E comes along, the overseer comes along, and he says, which that overseer, I believe he was on a horse. And the scriptures say, I've seen servants, which is Esau, upon horses, meaning they're in a position of power, and princes walking upon the servants upon the earth, which is us. All right, we're in a low state. Esau's in the high state. He's in a position of power, and we're not, which is totally backwards. And what did he do? He's the Edomite overseer said, "Hey, tell that nigga to get up," because you know Solomon Northup, which was a Jake, you know, the main character in 12 Years a Slave. He tried to tell him, "Hey, get up, man, get up," but that guy was dead, and he knew he was. Oh man, the guy's dead. You know, and Esau said, "Hey, tell that nigga to get up. Tell him to get up." You know, but he was dead. And what ended up happening? Well, you know, he couldn't get up, and you know, basically he was dead, and that was it. So they worked that Jake to death. Now Jake, back in that time, they were working from can't see to can't see, meaning when they got up, it was still dark out. When they got up, it was dark outside, and they were working, and they didn't stop working till it was dark outside. And guess what? They got paid zero wages. You think this devil ain't got to pay for that? And you know how many of them died from being whipped, from being beaten, from being worked to death? Okay? And when you Google how many slaves did Esau, did the white man bring to America, they'll tell you what, 20 million, 30 million. Some may even say 60 million. No, it's in the hundreds of millions. All right? It's in at least 100 million and up. All right? Elder Pastor Hart, you know, made mention of that. It got to be. It says, and with the blood of the martyrs of YAHAWASHI. And the word martyr doesn't mean someone that's put to death for their faith, contrary to popular belief. The Elder Pastor Ariamla just did a lesson today on that. The word martyr means a witness. And with the blood of the martyrs, the witnesses of YAHAWASHI. Okay? Because you have martyrs back there within the Roman Empire that died for the name of YAHAWASHI. Okay? And the same is going to happen to certain of us. We know that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua will help us get through it. Okay? So the woman drunk with the blood of the saints. Look what he did to Gad. Look what he did to the northern kingdom. You know, hey, it ain't just about the so-called Negroes. The northern kingdom, they were catching hell far before the so-called Negroes got brought over here to this place of America. Look what they were doing to Puerto Rico. Look at what they were doing to the northern kingdom. You know, they would try to use their sword and try to split a man in half with one stroke of a blade. They were working the northern kingdom. If they came back with no gold, they would chop their hands off. Okay? This is what these devils were doing. Raping, constantly raping. Why do you think there's so many light-skinned Puerto Ricans? Well, because Esau was raping our women. You see? You think this devil ain't got to pay for that? And with the blood of the martyrs of YAHAWASHI. And when I saw her, when John the Revelator saw this woman, I wondered with great admiration. When you go into this word admiration, it means love. All right? Meaning what? John the Revelator saw a baddie, like Jake's saying this time. He saw a baddie. Probably was a white Edomite woman with long flowing hair. You know, brothers like women with the long hair. Probably had hair down to her ankles. Probably had the red lipstick on. You know, probably had her cleavage all out. Probably had a big old split in her dress showing her thighs. She probably was thick. You know, you got to imagine these scriptures. You have to visualize what you're reading. So he saw this very attractive woman, you know, because that word admiration means love. He saw this beautiful woman. He was like, damn, hey man, you know, just like how you see a baddie. You see a baddie walk past you, you turn around, you like, ooh, That's how John the Revelator was a Jake. You see? Because when you see a fine woman, you wondering with great admiration, with great love. You're like, man, she fine. Same as John the Revelator. Okay? So he saw this beautiful woman. But what was the beauty of this woman symbolic of? Well, why did it say I wonder with great admiration? What does that represent? Okay? That represents the greatness, all right? The greatness, okay, of this place at one point. At one point, these other nations dreamed of coming to America. I told you what happened with my mother. She said that she literally thought that America was paved in gold. She said that she thought that America was the kingdom of heaven. That's what they were talking about over there. And that was on the west coast of Africa. They were saying that. Okay? Oh, it's beautiful. I hear it's so beautiful over there. Just everything's just so nice. This, that, and the third. The streets are paved in gold. There ain't no suffering over there. That's how these nations viewed anyone. More specific, I should rather say, that's how those outside of America, all right, viewed America. You see, this is the land of opportunity. You could come over here. You could get rich. See, dollars. Oh man. Oh, you could get them dollars. That pay that. That's what they thought. And I gave you an example. Okay. Now, let's go from there to Revelation 18 now. Revelation 18 and verse 3 again. For all nations are drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. Meaning they went to bed with this hoe. Okay? See what it is? They like the alluringness of America. That's why they want to be just like this place. So they went to bed with America. That's why they have their electoral processes just like America. They make different deals with America. They love this place. It's very alluring onto them. Okay? The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, meaning they went to bed with her. Okay? You try to pattern themselves after America, and they love this place, even to the point where they're making tons of deals with them. And the merchants of the earth here's the point, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. That's the different trade deals or different things that they send over here to get sold in America, which makes them rich. Because America is the #1 consumer nation. When you read the rest of this chapter, it tells you about the great wares that are sold over here in America that have made the nations rich. Vatican ain't making the nations rich. That's talking about America. When you Google what is the #1 consumer nation, you know who you see? USA. America. And it's through America that these nations get their money. The majority, the bulk of the bulk of the money that they make is made from over here in America. Because what do these Americans do? As soon as they got their stimmy, what did they run and do? Let me cop me some Jordans. Oh, you know what? Let me get my Charger or my Challenger. Let me pay the car note. See? Oh man, I just got my 1400. You know what? Time to hit the club. As soon as they get money, they immediately spend it. Okay? That's their mindset because they love spending. Let me get the new Jordans. Let me get these new ones. You see? As soon as they get it, they spend it. Why? Because America is the #1 consumer nation. And the bulk of these goods that are sold in America are made overseas. That's why you see on the back of your shirt, made in Taiwan, made in Mongolia, okay? Made in China. Oh, you see so many products made in China. Made in Vietnam, so on and so forth. You see? You know why? Because those nations, they're making bank off of selling their wares in America. Okay? Even Apple. Let me look that up real quick. Okay? Let me see. Now, Let's see. Apple moves China. Now, this is all I googled was Apple moves to China, and it says Apple. Let me see. Let me click the article. It says Apple will reportedly move iPad and MacBook production out of China. It says. Says Foxconn will move some iPad, notice some, and MacBook assembly from China to Vietnam at Apple's request. See? So you got their product made in China, and you have their product made in Vietnam. See? So the point being what? You have the majority, all right? The majority of these different goods that are made overseas and shipped to America to be sold. Let me type this in. Where are iPhones manufactured? Everyone loves their iPhones, right? It says, all I typed in was, where are iPhones manufactured? It says, China. It currently assembles the majority of Apple's iPhones in its Shenzhen, China location. Although Foxconn maintains factories in countries around the world, including Thailand, Malaysia. Let's see if it's going to say America. Thailand, Malaysia, the Czech Republic, South Korea, Singapore, and the Philippines. How come America ain't listed here? See? But what's the number one selling phone? Let's type that in. Selling phone. All right. Number one selling phone. 2021. It says iPhone 12. The iPhone 12 is the best selling phone in the world so far in 2021. And guess where it's manufactured? Not in America. You see? So America is the place that these nations send their goods, their wares, to get that money. To get that money. See? Because why? America is the number one consumer nation. Okay? So now, maybe the Spirit will have it where I do a part 2 to this lesson. You know? But now, what I want to do is just hit a couple verses in Jeremiah 50, and that'll be the lesson. This video's already running long. You know, Jake got a short attention span. Jeremiah 50 in verse 29. Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow. That's all these nations that have the ICBM missile technology. Camp against it round about, that none thereof escape. Recompense, meaning pay back her according to her work. I gave you an example of some of her work. Homosexuality. Oh, you could be anything you want over here. Oh, transgender. Feminism. Oh, yeah, women are over, man. You're equal. In fact, you're not just equal, you're over them. That's all. That's part of the works of America. Let alone slavery. Let alone the slaughtering of the Gadites. Let alone the affliction that they put upon the northern kingdom, that they put upon the inhabitants of Puerto Rico, which are you so-called Puerto Ricans, which are of the tribe of Ephraim. What they did to the so-called Mexicans. Okay? What they did to the native tribes that are already over here. What they did to the southern kingdom. Okay? Even that which they are doing to this very day. Okay? They have a lot of things to pay for. Okay? It says, recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, according to all that she hath done unto her. For she hath been proud against YAHAWASHI, against the Holy One of Israel. Yeah, like pass the laws to protect the alphabet community. That's extremely proud, because the Most High told you don't do that. And not only are you so proud that you did that, but then you say, in God we trust. Or America's a God-fearing nation. Oh, the Bible has become the law of the land. That's extreme pride, because you ain't following not one law, statute, or commandment of this Bible. Psalm 15:16. Therefore, so because you've done all this, shall her young men fall in the streets. That's what's coming. The upcoming race wars, the race riots, the famines and such. And all her men of war shall be cut off in that day. Yeah, because you're gonna have a draft. They're gonna get a lot of these different individuals, like you see these niggas, these hood niggas. You see these niggas, the Shiva Jatas. A lot of them gonna get shipped out. Because there's gonna be a draft. They're gonna get shipped out, and those that remain, they're gonna get caught up in the. And guess what? When they get shipped out, they ain't coming back. See, they're gonna die over there in the Middle East. And the ones that remain, they're gonna get caught up in the race wars, the race riots. You got a lot of jakes that, oh yeah, I kill you. Oh, I got the strap on me. They taking pictures with their guns and their weapons. Let's see how much they really about that when all hell breaks loose. Because you're gonna have race riots. Hey, you've seen the Purge. Because Evil E, they've been prepared to get you jakes. And guess what? YAHAWASHI is going to use them to punish you jakes. Let alone the troops, the martial law troops, the FEMA troops, the Gurga troops. All right? They're going to use those troops to steamroll over the majority of these people out here, especially Jake, beginning with those that know that they're Israelites. Because judgment is going to befall you first. Because you have a lot of people that know that they're Israelites, but they're still BSing. So YAHAWASHI, He's going to get you first. Okay? It says, behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud. Yeah, that's another name for Esau. All right? And that's also dealing with America. Because Most High, He ain't with America. He said that He's against this place. Saith YAHAWASHI, power of hosts, for thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities. That's the judgment coming to this whore. I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. That's the destruction of this place, which will come in the form of the missiles and the laser beams coming out of the ship. So that's the judgment of the great whore, America, which is Babylon the Great. So with that, I pray this lesson was edifying. All praises, honors, and glories be unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi B'Hashem HaKadosh. Double honors to my elders and my apostles of Great Milestone that do indeed well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect, the afflicted, 1/3. That being said, Shalom. RAWCHAA, Akim, and the few sisters that listen. Shalom.